Hi there, and welcome to the Museum of Industry. My name's Andrew, and today we're going to be doing our Shape and Structure program together. So while we're doing this program, we're going to be building some structures using different kinds of materials, thinking about how they work together to get our structure to do what they want them to do. And while we're doing that, we're going to think like engineers. I'm going to put on my engineer's hat right now. So while we're thinking about engineers and acting like engineers, then that means we're working together as a team. And we're also, when we find a problem, if something isn't working the way we want it to, we start thinking about solutions. So that's what engineers do. They look for solutions to problems. So right now, I'm going to tell you a little bit about the materials that we're going to use today. So you should all have some straws, and you should have some pipe cleaners, and we've also got some tools. I've got some scissors, got a ruler, and I've also got some tape here just to help hold things together if we need that to do. And what I want you to do first is to take a look at your straw. This is the basic building block that we're going to use today. So when you look at your straw, look at the end, okay, right there. You'll notice what shape is it. On the end, it's a circle, and a straw is like a 3D circle. Maybe you've talked already about what you call a 3D circle. Do you remember? It's called a cylinder. And cylinders are a really useful shape in building because when you press on them, when you put them under compression, they're really strong. That one just bent right there, but you can see you need a lot of pressure to get it to bend. So it's really good for holding things up. And engineers use cylinders all the time when they're building things. So it's a really useful shape. And every shape really has a different quality, something special about it that's useful when you're building. So what we're going to do is get our pipe cleaners ready. It's one of our materials that we're going to use to build our structures with. So here we've got our pipe cleaner, and what I want you to do is to bend it around so you make almost like a circle, and I want you to twist the ends of your pipe cleaner together just like that. Got a loop. What I want you to do next is just to push the sides around until you make almost like a triangle shape. It doesn't have to be perfect or anything. And then push the sides of the triangle in so that you have a Y shape. And this is what you're going to use to connect the ends of your straws together, and you're going to need a bunch of these, like about 12. So if you want to pause right now and make 12 Y shapes out of your pipe cleaners. Then when you're done, you can start the video again, and I'll show you what we're going to do next. So now that we've got all our materials ready, we're going to start building some shapes and some structures. And we're going to start with some 2D shapes. We'll make a square and a triangle. And then out of those 2D shapes, we'll make some 3D shapes, a cube and what's called a tetrahedron or a triangular pyramid. So you need about 18 straws altogether. And you need your twisted pipe cleaners, your Y shapes. And we'll start off with making a square. And we're going to do that by taking 4 straws and 4 Y shapes. And you take a Y, one leg of your Y, you push it in to your square like that. Other end goes in there. And you keep going around. There's the third side. There's the fourth side. There's your square. Don't worry about these things. I'll show you what to do with those later. And then we're going to make a triangle as well. And set your square aside. Your triangle, you need 3 straws, 3 pipe cleaners. And you're going to do the same thing. Push a leg of your pipe cleaner in. Side number 2. Side number 3. There you have your triangle. If you need to catch up, you can pause anytime and then start the video again when you're ready. What I want you to show you is why triangles are really useful for building structures. So if you hold your triangle up on the edge like this, hold it in place on the bottom, and hold it at the vertex, at the point at the top. And I want you just to kind of try to wiggle your triangle back and forth, left and right. You'll see that the pipe cleaners will slide out a little bit, but you can see it doesn't wobble very much back and forth, left and right. But if you compare that to your square, we'll do the same thing with your square. Hold your square up on edge, and you can see how easily it wobbles left and right. Okay, look at that. So a square is useful because you have a lot of space inside. But it's not very strong. It wobbles left and right. Okay. Triangles are great. They don't have as much space inside maybe, but they're pretty strong. They don't wobble as much. So we're going to keep on building now. We have our square, the 2D shape. We're going to build our cube, a 3D square. And you're just going to take some more straws. See, we've got those extra bits of pipe cleaner there. You can add your straws onto those pipe cleaners. There's the sides of your cube. Yep, starting to take shape. It's like you're putting up the sides of your house. You can put some more pipe cleaners in the tops of those. Go. And then we connect those together with some more straws. So again, if you need to catch up, you can pause the video. About done. There we are. Okay, there's our cube. Once again, you notice, okay, it's not quite perfect, but it's pretty close, pretty good. Again, you can see how wobbly that is. Lots of space inside to live in if this is your house, but it's a little bit wobbly, a little bit flexible. Next part is we're going to build a 3D triangle. We'll put our cube aside. You need the first triangle that you made, and 3 more straws, and 1 extra pipe cleaner. So our tetrahedron is like a 3D triangle, like a triangular pyramid. You add your straws on there. And then you're going to connect them together at the top, at the vertex, with your other pipe cleaner. You can put that down in any straw. Slide those in, those legs of your tetrahedron. There you go. What I want you to notice, now that you've made your tetrahedron, what it looks like a triangular pyramid. All the faces, all the sides are the same shape, same size. All the edges the same length, and even all the angles, the same angles in the corner. They're all equal. And if you want to test it for stability, you'll notice if you hold it right at the top, the pipe cleaners might slide around a little bit, but as you try to move the top of your tetrahedron back and forth, it doesn't move around very much at all. Not nearly as wobbly as your cube was. And so you can see the triangles are really a good, strong, stable shape that you can use when you're building a structure, and they really do help to make your structure a lot more stronger and stable and less wobbly. So you've made a cube today, and another challenge is how can you strengthen your cube? Remember, we said your cube is pretty wobbly. What can you do? What's the solution? You think about that a few minutes, and I'll show you what one possible solution might be. And that's to add in some triangles to your cube. One way of doing that is to take a straw, and you can kind of tape it to the corners. You see how that makes a triangle right there in the corner? So you might want to cut that. Let's see, we'll estimate. You could cut that just about there. You can take some tape. Try not to cover up the corners if you can. Tape that on like that. Maybe you could figure out some other ways of doing it. We're problem-solving engineers right now. Tape that other part up there, and I can feel that's stronger already. Right, that doesn't, look at that, doesn't wobble nearly as much. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Another triangle up in that corner. Down below. That's all attached on. Okay, and try that. No, not nearly as wobbly there as it was before. You imagine what would happen if you added those diagonal straws to make triangles on all the corners, or even some of the corners in your cube. What would that do? How much stronger would that make your cube and less wobbly? What are some other things you could do? Maybe you could just use some extra pipe cleaners and twist them up like that so they don't wobble back and forth quite as much. Or maybe you could find some longer straws, and maybe you could make triangles that way, corner to corner, diagonal, or even inside, opposite corner to opposite corner, low to high, across like that. Something some builders too do are to put what are called buttresses on, and that would be down there. You're kind of making it, you'd have a straw down below, and maybe you could tape or pipe cleaner another straw onto it like that, and that would help hold up that side of your cube as well. That's what's called a buttress. Lots of ways, lots of solutions to strengthen your cube. So why don't you try out some of those solutions, and maybe you can think of some of your own as well. See what you can do to make your cube less wobbly and a lot stronger by adding on some of those triangles and supports. So now that you've made your tetrahedron and we've made our cube as well, and we've talked a little bit about shape and materials and how all those things work together to make a strong, stable structure. So we're going to do a challenge together right now. And the challenge is to make a large tetrahedron out of 4 smaller tetrahedrons. So you might want to get together with 3 other people in your class. And the 4 of you together, in groups of 4, you're going to join your tetrahedrons together. And I'm going to show you how to do that. What you'll need is a new connector for your pipe cleaner. Just like before, we're going to bend that around, twist the ends together so you have a loop. And we're not going to make a Y shape this time, but we're just going to flatten it out so that it's straight, just like that. And you'll need 4 of those all together. So I've got my 4 already made up. You can pause if you need to catch up while you're making your connectors. So now that you've made your new pipe cleaner connector and you have your tetrahedron, we're going to build a large tetrahedron with 4 of these smaller ones. So if you were to get together with 3 other kids in your class, then together you can connect together your 4 tetrahedrons, and I'll show you how to do that. Everyone's going to take your tetrahedron and your pipe cleaner, and you're going to push that pipe cleaner into one of the corners of your tetrahedron. Just like that. You take a second tetrahedron and you're going to join it together at one of those corners. Take the pipe cleaner, push it in. Going to take your third tetrahedron and that's going to go right there. So you have 3 tetrahedrons at the bottom. Take your pipe cleaner. Push it into one of the cylinders at the bottom in the corner. Same thing on the other side over here. And now your third tetrahedron goes right there. Push that in on the other side too. Okay. So we have 3 tetrahedrons. Look at that shape. Take a look at that shape. You see a pattern there? It's always interesting to look for patterns. The last one goes right on top. We do that by taking some more pipe cleaners. I'm going to put those in each of the vertexes, the points at the top. Now, we put those pipe cleaners into the corners, the vertexes of your last tetrahedron. Okay, there's one. There's 2. challenge number 3. So I'm just going to show you right now. Now you have a large tetrahedron made from 4, 1, 2, 3, 4 smaller tetrahedrons. It's pretty stable. Like we said before, if you try to wobble it, straws will pull out a little bit, but not too much. There's your large tetrahedron. So the rest of the challenge is this. We made a large tetrahedron out of 4 smaller tetrahedrons. Can you make it bigger? Can you get 3 other large tetrahedrons and join them together to make an extra large tetrahedron? Look at that. It's huge. Can you see some of the patterns in there too? There's all sorts of patterns. If you look at it carefully, you can see there's patterns in her structure, in her shape. You can see how strong and stable it is. Can you take 4 of these and make like an extra large tetrahedron? It'll be huge. How far can you go? So that's your challenge. How can you make an extra large or an extra large tetrahedron? Keep on building and see how big a structure of tetrahedrons you can actually make. That's your challenge for today. So we've talked a little bit about building giant tetrahedrons. We've talked a little bit about how to strengthen a cube by adding triangles onto different places. Your next challenge, if you want to try it, can you build the tallest tower you possibly can using straws, pipe cleaners, a little bit of tape, thinking about your structures and your shapes as well. So the rules are this: your tallest tower has to stand up on its own. In other words, you're not allowed to hold it in place once you're all finished. You're not allowed to stand on tables or chairs or give each other piggybacks. So part of your challenge is to think, how can you build a structure, a tower that's taller than you are without breaking those rules? And you can think about what shape do you want to use in your structure. Do you want to use a cube? Do you want to use a tetrahedron? You want to use squares and triangles? Maybe you want to use a combination, something different altogether, or a different shape. So how are you going to use your shapes, everything you've learned so far, your shapes, your materials, combine them together, build the tallest structure you can without breaking those rules? How do you do it? How do you solve those problems? How do you work together and cooperate as a team even to help one another build the tallest structure? That's a challenge, and I'll be interested. Maybe you want to email me back and tell me, or send a picture of how tall your actual structure was. So we're very nearly at the end of our program right now, but before I say goodbye, I wanted to show you some work that we have going on right here inside the museum. I'm making this video for you in October of 2020, and we have some actual engineers and builders here at the museum putting a new roof on our building here. And as part of that, they've built a special structure, what's called scaffolding, inside the museum in our lobby. And you can see that just behind me here. If you think about it, it's a lot like the structures that you've already built in this program, but instead of using straws and pipe cleaners, our builders are using steel pipe and special connectors to join everything together. And you can see, just like you've done, how our builders use cylinders, cubes, squares, triangles, and all sorts of shapes. You can see also how they've used diagonal pipes going corner to corner inside the cubes and inside the squares to strengthen and stabilize their scaffolding, to make it good and strong and not wobbly at all, to support all kinds of weight up above us where all that work is going on. So you've done some of that work as well, just like our builders and engineers here have been doing with their scaffolding. You've been doing the work of engineers and builders solving problems as you've created your structures. By the time you're ready to come to visit the museum, and I hope you do, all this scaffolding will probably be taken down and put away. But we'll look forward to seeing you actually visiting us here. Thanks very much for joining us here today. I've had a lot of fun with you, and I hope you've had fun with our Structures and Shapes program as well. And I'd like to wish you happy building.